This video released the other day, and it's pretty much set the world of FPSs, and particularly Escape from Tarkov, on fire. Essentially what it is showing the frequency that cheaters are found within Escape from Tarkov, which everybody knows if you've played online games before, and in particular first-person shooter games, they're everywhere. It's just a cat and mouse game. Developer puts in the anti-cheat, developer bans certain people, and then of course the cheaters find out how they got detected, how they got banned, make an update, then the devs are chasing them trying to get this new update banned. It never ends, it really doesn't. And in a game like Escape from Tarkov, where there's real world time consequence to actually dying within the game, it makes it considerably worse. But if you're playing a game of like Valorant or CSGO or whatever, you lose, maybe you blame a cheater, maybe it isn't somebody cheating, maybe it's a get good problem. It's not as big of a deal as in Tarkov, because you can actually lose hours worth of your life of loot that you gained, and it's just generally way worse. So when this video came out from a YouTuber called Goat, for he is the motherfucking GOAT, the greatest of all time, he showed statistics of how many games he went into. Essentially what he did was download cheats, which includes, as you can see, ESP. This is not how the game typically looks, or, well, considering how many people are cheating in the game, this actually kind of is how the game looks for a lot of people. He downloaded cheats. It shows you, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, a line of sight, basically who's looking where. These are players on the screen, and if somebody's staring at you, if you've not made any noise and they're just staring right at you and they know you're there, you can tell that they're cheating, right? At least with a pretty high degree of frequency. But not only that, he developed this method to essentially signal to other cheaters that he was cheating as some kind of pact, which he called the wiggle, which is why the video is called The Wiggle That Killed Tarkov. Essentially, you tilt side to side, and the other person looking through the walls or the terrain or whatever else does the same, and that's to say, you're cheating, I'm cheating, let's have a pact, let's leave each other alone. Now, he said within this video that over 60% of games he was in, he found a cheater. We have to also take into account that in some games he died earlier than seeing all the players, so we couldn't test everyone. So it's not likely to be less than this, but is likely to be more than this. And of course, it doesn't account for how many cheaters are in a game, just percentage of games that had cheaters present. That's a massive number. 60%, that's an untenable number. So now there's additional elements to this, and again I will link this video in the description. Fantastically done. Basically, as this came out, and what made me want to talk about this, because I love talking about game developers, publishers, people just doing bad things in gaming, so that people know to avoid these companies and these people. Essentially what happened was, as soon as the video released, they went on damage control immediately, on the offensive. Anyone who mentioned it was getting banned from the subreddit. You couldn't talk about it on their Discord, you couldn't talk about it on their forums. They were removing threads mentioning the video and essentially trying to suppress any mention of it. Try to, put it behind closed doors and not allow anybody to even have a discussion. Maybe try to have the algorithm in social media not pick up on it, so that less people saw the video, which would be less problems for them. Now, of course, this got out of hand really quickly because Tarkov's a popular game. It's also got a very hardcore audience due to the niche type of game that it is, which means people are way more likely to be on social media in the first place and consuming content around Tarkov. That's just generally how the internet works. The more something is leaning towards the hardcore element, the more chances the person who's playing it is hardcore, and hardcore people typically use social media to follow the things that they are enjoying. So when they knew they couldn't suppress it anymore because it had gotten out of their hands, it was too big for them, they decided to start letting people talk about it, which, of course, compounded things, Streisand effect and all that. But Nikita, their COO, came out and essentially wrote a very interesting, and I'm going to say completely falsified, at least in my opinion, allegedly, a completely falsified, a ridiculous statement. Essentially within here there's details that just make no sense whatsoever. Anybody could tell you this just from common sense. I actually had the update open, which I've not read, so I'll show you the original one I was talking about. So he says within this, we have always been concerned about this problem, and the work to catch cheaters is always going on. They usually come in waves. Yeah, typically that's how it works. So number 2, right now we ban several thousand cheaters a day, and usually most of them are blocked after playing a little. Now, this is completely unbelievable. Physically, in my brain, it doesn't make sense. Nobody thinks this makes sense because it simply doesn't. If you were to ban several thousand cheaters per day, bear in mind I'm not going to like English police them and say they should know that several means more than two, which would be a couple. I mean, let's just say it's minimum 2,000 cheaters. This game costs $44.99 US per copy to play. So you're telling me that every day $90,000 of accounts at a minimum are being banned. And of course, using several means that this could be double, triple, quadruple this number. So you're saying that is going on. I don't believe you. I don't believe you're banning several thousand cheaters per day, especially not because the company, as far as I can tell, in terms of revenue, is generating like $70 to $90 million per year. So what you're saying is like a third of your yearly revenue, or maybe more, depending on if it's more than that 2,000 number, is coming from banning cheaters every day. I don't believe you. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense, does it? On top of that, when you look at other similar games, if this is true, and of course I don't think it is, you're basically painting the target on yourself to say that, yes, the cheating in our game is so out of control and we're so incompetent that it is ridiculous. Because if you look at things like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which has a peak of 1.2 million players today, concurrent online. Dota, 576,000. Dota the other day, it was big news for them to do one big ban wave of 40,000 accounts, but you're banning several thousand per day. I think that illustrates that you have a bigger problem. But again, I think they're lying about this number because there's not that many people buying the game. And of course, there is an economic aspect to this, which we have to talk about and make sense. In Escape from Tarkov, people RMT, real money trade, which basically means that when they play the game, they get stuff and then they go to websites or private forums or whatever and sell this stuff to people for real money. Now, if the game costs $44.99 to buy a new account, and you're banning them after they've only played a little, that means that these cheaters would be taking a loss in terms of how much money they're making back from buying accounts, which they're not doing, because if they were consistently making a loss on buying accounts, they simply wouldn't do it. When somebody buys accounts to cheat repeatedly and gets repeatedly banned, they're only doing that because the ban is a cost of doing business for the money that they're making from doing it otherwise. There's not people going into Tarkov and spending thousands of dollars a year buying accounts to just log in, cheat for a couple hours and get banned. Doesn't make sense. What's actually happening is it's a business, which means that you're not getting to them early enough. It's still profitable for them. And the insidious element of this is who profits from cheaters? The cheater and the developer, because they have to rebuy the game every time they get banned. The only people that don't benefit from the cheaters is the community that are on the receiving end of getting fucked by this, having their gameplay ruined, having their time ruined, and of course seeing the game that they love go down the shitter with something like this coming out. Now, essentially, he goes through and says some stuff that, again, is placation. You know, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that, we're going to do this now. But of course, as people have pointed out, he's made this same post almost every single year for 4 years since the game's been out. Essentially just saying, yeah, cheating's a problem, but we're doing X, Y, and Z. Cheating's a problem, we're doing X, Y, Z. Cheating a problem, we're doing X, Y, Z. And of course, the problem is bigger than ever. As the game's got bigger, the problem's got bigger, and they've not addressed it. People are obviously reporting that they've sent reports in game for people multiple times. They've seen the same people in their lobbies that are blatantly cheating over and over again for days, sometimes weeks. Seeing people that have incredibly high KDs, seeing very high level accounts that are just constantly selling stuff and not getting banned. And obviously, this is a problem that's not being dealt with. When people say, you know, this could be the death of Tarkov, I do think, in a sense, it's hyperbolic. I don't think the game's going to die overnight because of this. But one of the things that makes Escape from Tarkov as popular as it is because they came in as a first mover in the market. They came in with a product that nobody else had made, that was completely fresh, that people really resonated with and people really love. But of course, how gaming in cycles goes is that the game comes out, it's by an indie dev, they keep developing it, people keep playing it, but eventually somebody's going to come out with another version of the game that doesn't have these problems. Is it going to be a AAA developer? Is it going to be, you know, a version like Dark and Darker that's a little bit different? The FPS community are probably going to stick with something like this until something comes along that is better. And if it comes along soon, something like this does absolutely 100% devalue the game in a lot of people's eyes. I've seen so many people say that they're quitting. It's unfortunate we can't have like Steam numbers to see whether or not this has had like an actual dramatic effect, or whether or not it's you know, a small amount of people on social media. So obviously this popped up again. This is the new update from Nikita. And it just goes to show that you have to make a stink about something for anything to happen, because he's now saying we've increased the overall detected band speed of anti-cheat. Why were you not doing that in the first place? Some of the cheat users are still being collected in the ban waves. We already pushed 2 updates related to our hack detection tools, as well as BattlEye pushed 2 updates for its own detection system for the last 2 days. We'll continue to post ban lists more often just for you to check. Good idea. Notification feature that if a player was banned in your report is in development. You've had 4 years to do this. I mean, it's better late than never, but at the same time, when this has been such a problem, it just seems like the only reason you're doing this is because people are making a stink about it, which again is the insidious element. While ever it was benefiting you as a company to leave these cheaters, ban them, get them to rebuy the game, and then obviously nobody was really talking about it or quitting due to it because they couldn't confirm how bad the cheating problem was. And then when it did, you tried to suppress it with deleting everything and banning people on social media. I've even heard, and again allegedly, that this company has DMCA'd people that have tried to release footage like this previously and talk about how bad the cheating is, which is fucking wild. I'm not sure why that's not a bigger deal. If true, again, I'd need to see some more evidence on that. RMT sellers' users are being banned as always. Added more detection methods to that. If you could do this already now within 2 days, how has it been this way for 4 years? Any major changes to AC we study will cripple the game for many other players. It means anti-cheat. The case of creating a perfect anti-cheat is not exist. That is true. So we could only increase effectiveness without damaging the whole player base. More invasive methods will require to do a major overhaul and will 100% lead to technical problems. Some of suggestions that you propose are understandable, but again, will require a lot of overhaul and will lead to tech problems and or support hell. This is not a good excuse. Again, as soon as a game comes out that is as polished and has as many features as Tarkov, if this is still your position, that, we could do it, we're 4 years later, we could do it. I know you guys hate this and our experience is being ruined, but we're not competent enough to do it without tech problems and or support hell. You're just fucked, aren't you? So they're just going to go play the other game. It doesn't mean that we will not do something new with AC in the close future. Changes and additions that we in BattlEye made and making to AC system can already be noticed, but if you feel that it's still not good enough, come back later. Please continue to report sus players. It helps. But yeah, I think I probably hit on all points I need to on that one. Personally, I love games like this, but it's just a real shame to see something like this, especially with somebody who's so high up in the company coming out and basically saying, oh yeah, we're doing stuff now that it's public and we couldn't suppress it. But there you go. We'll see what happens with Escape from Tarkov. Hopefully, for the people who love this game, this isn't the end. I saw some wild takes from content creators which were blaming Goat for releasing the video, saying that he'd ruined people's careers and ruined people's lives because he was destroying the game by telling the truth. That cannot be the opinion of somebody who shares their opinion with an audience that trusts them. It cannot be the case that you think lying about things, pretending a problem doesn't exist just so you can personally profit is a good opinion to put out into the world. That is fucked up. What Goat did is not. He exposed something that people needed to know, and if the truth kills something, did it really deserve to exist in the first place? So, thank you very much. See you next time. Peace out.